Hello everyone, welcome to the podcast Within the RAM. Over the upcoming episode, you are going to hear industry leaders sharing their hard-won wisdoms and experiences, giving you an insider's look at building successful Web3 careers and companies. I'm your host, Steph, a co-founder member of Crypto Connect and Job Ledger. I have 7 years of experiences in recruitment and connected to the most inspiring, intelligent, and groundbreaking industry leaders and builders. Whether you are a Web3 veteran or brand new to the space, we want Within the RAM to be your go-to resource. So get ready to ask questions, share your thoughts, and join us on this wild Web3 adventure. Now, before we begin, it would mean a lot to us if you can help like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. It really helps within the algorithm, and it encourages our team greatly to create more content. If you want to know a bit more about us, simply scroll down and where I have placed our related website and socials in the description below. Alright, let's get into this. Welcome back to the podcast Within the RAM. I'm super delighted and excited to be able to invite our guest today, Kevin Lee, the CEO of Gate Hong Kong. How are you today?
Hi, Steph. I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm super honored that you would become my guest. I guess just like my usual practice, I would love to share with you why I find you as an interesting person to be interviewed with at the first place. Of course, being a CEO, it already catches my eye. I think your advice on your personal development as well as some of your personal challenges and your hiring advice would be very helpful to our audiences. In the meantime, I find that as a CEO, you are very active on LinkedIn. You're very authentic. Sometimes you would post about using AI summarizing the conversation between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, talking about the US election, as well as the industrial development in Hong Kong. And I thought wow, this CEO is so vocal and authentic, it's so real. And that's why I'm super curious about you. This is my first impression for you.
Well, thank you, Steph. I mean, the honor is mine. I'm very happy to be here, just share my 2 cents. I would say my unofficial tagline these days is your friendly neighborhood CEO. I try to be more down to earth and talk to more people, especially in our industry. It's of course everyone's talking about being in Web3 is about the new and upcoming technologies, but I think ultimately it's the people that's put us together, right? I mean, it's a cliche, but every one of us tend to talk a lot about the community. So I think it's getting out and talk to people is part of my job being a CEO.
Yeah, well, I guess some of these qualities must be something that why you'll be able to achieve as a CEO in your 18 years career. That's definitely something that we could discover more down the line. But then the first question that I have for you would be what was your first encounterment of crypto? How does that steer you of saying, oh yeah, crypto must be my next job? Do you have that kind of moment?
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting story. My first purchase of Bitcoins back in 2013, I believe. Wow. When I was backpacking in Australia. So I was browsing Reddit. I was just getting curious about this new technology. I bought it at the new all-time high back in the days. It was 140, and then it dropped to 90. I was well, this thing is scam. I just forgot about the whole Bitcoin thing, right? So fast forward to 2017. Obviously, we all know that was the first time it went back to 20,000 US, right? So I was panicking. I was just where's my Bitcoins? Platform is still around, but obviously everyone's in Hong Kong. We upgrade our phone, so I lost my 2FA already. I forgot my password. So took me a while to actually got back my Bitcoins, but I had it. I made, this is probably my best investment in my life, but that end up, I spent it on my wedding banquet. I paid for my half of my wedding. So I guess that's, not a bad.
Well, that's a really sweet taste of having Bitcoin, and I believe like it's so different from a lot of people. Like a lot of people might probably forget about the keys and knew nothing and just lost it. And fast tracking today, like the last all-time high we had was 70,000. So it's like three times if you keep holding. But of course, like you spend it in the right place. Yeah, so but then why crypto as an industry? Like you share your personal experience. Apparently part of it is lucrative, but as a
Yeah.
professional development, how did you get there?
Yeah, of course. So I think that was like 2017 when I just like picking up interest about like Bitcoin and the whole crypto industry again. But it's still restricted to like more like personal dealing, just like trying to work out some trading strategies that work that I can earn a little bit of money passively. But then not until like Hong Kong actually start to have a regulatory regime, which people heard about it a lot in the last 12 months, but it actually started almost like 3, 4 years ago, where one of the first platforms actually got the license, voluntary licensing regime that started. I thought, so like for majority of my career, by the way, I licensed with the SFC. I was in the regulated sector already, right? So I know that when a regulator moves to that direction, it would not go back, right? So I do believe that the coin price will go up and down, and we've seen the up and down already. But I think while the regulators already make the decision to have this sector regulated, I think that's not going to go away. It would not go to zero as an industry. That's where I think that it make a reasonable career move back in the days.
I see. Well, I guess like your sensitivity of making a profit as well as having the awareness of whether as assets being regulated must be like a professional training throughout your whole career development for the past 18 years. Can you share with us a little bit more before? Can you walk us through like your whole career journey?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, it's when I go to university and do career talk, I always start with like I would tell the undergrads that I'm probably the least qualified person to talk about career. The reason was that when I first went to university, it was a double degree program, right? I did business administration, and I also did a software engineering. So it's a mix of business and technology together. So that was great, right? Except that it was a new program. There weren't any graduate for me to have like an indicator where should I go next as a career, as a job when I graduate. So all my career path is like you can say it's luck, but you can also say it's a new trend that's coming up that didn't actually exist when I was in university. So I graduate and I joined bank, Macquarie Bank, in the algorithmic trading team, which algorithmic trading in banks, I know these days, like everyone's talking about algo trading, but back 18 years ago, it's new in Asia. That wasn't actually a job market for algo trading until I graduate. Likewise, I then move on trying to, leave the finance industry and join Yelp, which is more like a Web.2, Web 2.0, sorry, Web 2.0, which you would know like Spotify and Uber and Airbnb and Yelp now, but like back in the days, it's new. Again, when I graduate, it wasn't there. Even when I said I took a working holiday backpacking in Australia, right? It was new. It wasn't a working holiday visa in Hong Kong when I graduated. So everything's new, and most obviously, crypto is new, right? It's such a perfect fit for me because like it's exactly a blend of technology and business together where everything I learned in the last 20 years and I can actually apply it in crypto, right? So that's great. I think it's meant to be like for me. And this is like the last part of the story is that I thought I would be the poster boy for my university back in the University of Hong Kong because like I'm such a perfect fit for what I've done, what I've studied. It turned out they have a better poster boy. They have Edan from Mirror, the local boy band. So, well, I can't afford that, right? He's more popular, earn more money than I do, younger and smarter and look better than I do. So couldn't afford that. But I think the ultimate story, the ultimate takeaway is whether or not it's crypto or a boy band, it may not actually exist when you're in the uni or when you graduate. So like I think the world is evolving so fast. We just have to adapt whatever the right trend that's coming to you.
Yeah. For some of you who don't know who is Edan Low, just for information, is a boy band, super popular. Edan is from a band from Mira in Hong Kong.
So put a picture up here just to make a comparison.
Yeah, who are you guys liking better? Like with the same qualification, like the same educational background. Who do you like more? That's interesting. Well, like it's super interesting story, and I'm aware there's a pattern, just like you mentioned. Kevin, you always trying to ride the wave and find the next alpha kind of thing. Do you think you developed this sense for your upbringing, or how did you train to have your own sense of risk taking and trying something new, being so adventurous?
Well, that's a very good question. I guess it's 50% down to your personalities and 50% down to the actual trend and the environment around you, right? So I think when I start my career, a lot of my friends and just like family advice back in the days, in the 80s and the 90s, every parents and the teachers would tell you to just be a doctor or be a lawyer, right? And then in my era, that's like people was like talking about, oh, you have to go to the bank or you have to go to Big Four, be an auditor. I think that's down to the environment. And when things happen in Hong Kong, it's happened actually quite fast, right? I mean, we look down in Hong Kong sometimes, but like actually it's a perfect place for a lot of different development for new trend. And when it happens, it's actually the same story goes. Some of my banking friends back in the days actually moved out of banking and moved on to Airbnb as a new startup, as a new expansion to Asia, and similarly to other like Uber or other new trend. And similarly now in crypto, a lot of people from banking moving to crypto as well. I think that's down to the environment. But at the same time, it's about the personality. I know a lot of traders, a lot of bankers, they're happy to talk to the same people every day, every year, trading the same stock. Everyone's just like trading HSBC and Tencent for the last 10 years. They will be perfectly happy with the paycheck, obviously, to do the same thing, right? But I think my personality is like I always looking to do something new, and this is the newest things that's keep being new, which is good. Crypto is like always have something new is gonna happen tomorrow. So I guess I just found the right industry for my personality.
And I guess like for some of the people, whether they're in the trade file that they are very keen on jumping onto crypto, or someone from startup that they would like to jump on crypto, do you have any like actionable plan apart from like extending your social network? Because I do receive a lot of inquiries, people outside of the industry that they are very keen on moving, but they have no ways. Do you have any advice on like how they would be able to jump on a complete brand new industry while they don't have anyone around them?
Well, again, very good questions. I guess that I have two answers, right? First, in crypto, it's like very particular that you have to try it before you know it. So if you want to come into the industry, try to buy something, right? Try to buy a Bitcoin, or even if you don't believe in Bitcoin, try to buy something, right? Try to set up a wallet, try to register for an exchange, see how it works. It's actually bring up like a little bit more experience. When you tried it, you know it a little bit more. It's good for you to actually test it out to see if you actually like the industry. And also when you do the interview, you can actually prove that you have first-hand experience in the industry, right? So that's my first answer. The second one is, it's a new industry, but like every single functions inside is old, right? Trading, there's trading in like trading teams in banks. If as marketing in crypto, there's like a equivalent marketing team in every single corporations, right? So figure it out. Like, you want to move to crypto, that's great. What's your expertise? Is the crypto industry actually need your expertise right now? So I think that's important. So in Hong Kong, I guess the natural answer is yes, we need a lot of compliance people in crypto right now, and a lot of compliance in banks who move on to crypto. So similar things. I can't answer for everyone, but like you can do your own math at home to see what's actually your expertise and if it is transferable.
Yeah, that's excellent. Did you dream of being a CEO when you were young, or it just become it so naturally while you trying to delve into your own career development?
Well, no, I never dreamed of being a CEO per se, no. But I did when I was really young. I read a book, a really good book actually. It's called How to Become a CEO. Yeah, that's I think it's come more naturally. That's I have this capacity to go across the different functions. First, it was technology, and then it was business, and then it goes a little bit more into like, okay, what about trading and compliance and regulations, and also what about operation and marketing and other functions. So like it builds on to a very different career path than most people when they like really want to have a focus on one thing and be the best. And I'm not saying become the best in a certain field would not make you a CEO. I think for different firms that require different caliber to become the CEO. So there's no single formula to make one.
I see. So I think I have a feeling that Kevin, you like to see things in the very macro level. Like when we look into your personal development, like you are very good at merging your own experience and adding something new and to create a new path or new opportunity. How did you train up your own skills and your thinking process in this way?
Wow, that's not an easy question. Like, yeah, well, first of all, yes, I do like to think things in macro levels. And like for instance, people like asking me for advice going into Web3 industry. I would say, well, it's not about the Web3 industry. The industry will soon become Web4 or Web5, right? So how are you positioned to become that? And for the later part of the question, it's just like, well, how do I do this? I mean, like again, everyone's unique, right? What I'm thinking is, and it's go all the way back to university as well because it was a double degree program. People always have this debate within the curriculums whether or not you want to be a specialist or you want to be a generalist, right? I can have an answer. The way that I put it is, if you want to be a specialist, that would be whatever you do, right? Whether or not it's like well, may not be fencing, but like let's say just like Rubik's Cube or like computer program, there will be some 14 years old kids in China or India doing 10 times better than you as like this one single thing. As a generalist, it's much easier. So if you are the top 25% of like a single field, let's say technology, and then you're top 25% of another single field, which is business, you're alright, you're above average. But you cross them, you suddenly the top 6.25% of the cross field, right? So
Yeah.
that would make things like more interesting, especially like I assume a lot of your audience is from Hong Kong, where we're at a really good position that we're trilinguals. We know like we get the culture from the western side and also the eastern side as well. So I think generalist in a way it's like easier for you to actually excel and express yourself as become a top candidate of a job.
Well, I love this piece of advice because like I think for maybe people brought up in Hong Kong or as the Asian culture, we are almost like fed to think of, oh, you must get a degree, you must be a doctor, or like me personally, I pursue accounting and finance for my bachelor degree, which I use none of the skills for my job. But then, yeah, I guess like, just like how we started our conversation, like finding your own niche, knowing your own personality and your strength, and knowing how you approach things and combine it, you will somehow find your own style and how you approach things and how you stand out. That's excellent piece of advice, and I wish, like, especially for young people out there, if you feel frustrated not being able to find your own style, please play this Kevin's advice again and again so that you will know you don't have to be the best on your own degree, but like trying to explore something that you like, and you will naturally become good enough to pursue something.
Yeah, and on top of like you brought up something very interesting as well, is like about the degree and the educations. I guess I'm not exactly a big fan of like schooling or like educations per se, but I'm a big fan of learning. So you can learn outside of school. When you graduate, you don't have to go for a second degree. You don't necessarily have to, but you have to keep an open mind to actually keep learning. I think that's key.
Speaking of these, I guess like I would have two different questions. As a person who is already pursuing the career in crypto, what are the top three skills, or that you think is the trend of if you acquire this, it will higher your chance in landing a job?
Yeah, I guess I can give you. Okay, so the first and foremost advice is, even for like not people who's looking for job, but like in general people that I talk to, right? What's the one thing that would do? I would always say they not already learn a programming language. I think it's not only equip you to, like you don't have to be a programmer in your career path, but knowing like a computer programming language actually help shape how you approach a problem. It's makes you a little bit more logical. It's makes you a little bit like it's like basically rewire the way that your brain they think about resolving problems. I think that's key, and that's especially true for like people in business as well. Another more like crypto focused advice is, because crypto is still like a very early stage industry, right? So a lot of like a job or like a JD when they're coming out, they would say business development. It's not exactly business development, but like it's problem solving, right? So I have a client A that have this problem, I have a client B that has this problem. Can I somehow work it a way that's work for both of them, and I will make some fee? That's business development, pretty much in a sense. So I think in crypto, like don't be afraid to just like go in, but like with a really good like problem solving skills, but also like don't be afraid to wear multiple hats. Where, well, you said my role is about sales. Why do I have to figure out all this contract? Because this is all the part of the problem solving remit. That's part of the deal in crypto. I think that's the two. I know you asked for free. But the third one, I think, is more like general. It's not about crypto, but I think in the industry or like in any job, you want to approach the job with like three different skills. Let's say, again, this sounds like a cliche, but I think the difference is like being a talker, being a thinker, or being a doer, actioner, or like to say doer. So in Hong Kong, surprisingly, we don't have enough talkers. We don't talk enough. Like unlike the expats and the Westerners, they like to talk, right? Hong Kong is really good at like doing things, get things done. Like you always have to do all three, unfortunately, right? So understand your weakness. Your weakness may not be like about like a particular skill set or like a language communications, but are you talking enough? Are you thinking enough? Are you doing enough? I think that's my general advice.
Yeah. Well, I guess like again, like mapping out your own niche and trying to package it in a way that you find the most confident and comfortable, that will naturally become your own style. And I really like
Yeah.
this piece of advice, and I wouldn't stress enough. It's really, really, really important, especially in the crypto industry. From like startup company to like larger scales of exchange, everyone wear multiple hats. So trying to go extra miles and learn something new is the key piece of advice. Another question that I would have, because I'm aware, Kevin, you also study cert in blockchain or crypto. Are there any particular course or certificate that you find it quite important to have, for example?
Not particularly, but I think the one big problem is a lot of people underestimate the free resources that you get online, and they are actually helpful. So this is the one that I particularly like is on Coursera, which basically the co-founder, Dr. Angel Ng, that have a really good machine learning course up there. A little bit of programming. It's not too difficult or anything, but it's a really good introductory course for AI and machine learning, which is great because he's a great lecturer, but off the line, you will never actually have a possibility to, go to CRSA or whatever he's actually teaching. But going online, you can have it for free, and you can pay a little bit more just to have the certificate available as well. But if you don't care about the certificate, as I said, schooling is not as important as actually learning. If you don't care, it's free, right? So I guess go on to different online resources and try to learn, and then learn how to learn is important. If you're approaching free course and you look at it, it's just well, this is not actually a good course, right? Then you can move on to learn at a better place. But to learn how to learn is also very important.
There are a lot of open source application and a lot of free resources, and just take some time. It seems like you've planned out things very well throughout your whole career, but I bet you must also have hard time, right? Could you share with us one of the biggest mistakes that you think that you've ever done in your whole 18 years career?
Okay, well, good that you asked one, not all the mistakes, because we don't have time for this podcast. I wouldn't say a mistake, because things that I do mention it quite naturally, as in this is something that everyone can do. But I would say one thing as a career mistake is when you're being in and out, just okay, so what I did is I was backpacking for a year. It was great. It was the single best year of my life. I could say that I would never actually regret it. But as a career, that's a huge drawback. It's just it set back to my career path. It set back just my relationship at that point of time. That's I basically stopped all the relationship and I have to rebuild it when I come back to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It's all flowery when we talk about this great experience when we go aboard and picking strawberries and surfing in Australia. But the fact is, as a career, it's actually hurts you, and it's not for everyone. For sure, there are people just don't like the style of backpacking at all, right? So I think that is the thing, and I did it a couple of times as well. I left the industry for backpacking, I left the industry again for Yelp, and then I left the finance industry for crypto again, which I know, yeah, people are just wow, now you're CEO, right? But still, this is still a very high risk, high return industry that we just happen to be lucky that we're at the high return stage. What happened is crypto's not working out, right? I still have a bunch of friends from uni. They still happily having a proper career somewhere in the banks and earn better than I do, having a better, bigger title. Each for your own, right? So I can't say for sure, but the advice is don't underestimate the impact when you make a big decision in your career.
Well, I love insightful advice. It's because I think some people just see the benefits of, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a career break. Oh, that's cool. I need to be YOLO. But a lot of people didn't really think through the cost when you take certain risks. And I guess like it must be like heavyweight when you're trying to put those things back into pieces. Yeah. And another thing that I'm super curious, because I'm aware that you are very vocal on LinkedIn. Do you think like for the next generation or for people who are already in the corporate, do you think building your own IP is very important?
I think it depends. It depends. I do believe that for my first half of my career when I was in banks, the branding of the CEO of those banks are definitely not as big as the actual banks, right? So in the corporate world, in a proper way, you grow the brand of the corporation, not individuals. Crypto, in a way, again, is an early development industry, but also because crypto, a lot of people take advantage of the anonymity. So they are people, I'm not going to name names, but like they are people just like hide behind like a fancy NFT profile pictures, never actually show face. And that make those who are more vocal individually, that build by association, that build the trust and the brand for the corporate, like in our case is Gates. So I think I do it because I like to say things, I like to express my thoughts. That's good, but also I think I don't want to hard sell the platforms, but I want people who read my stuff will understand that by association, Kevin Lee is something that you think by the content that you trust, then you will trust the platform as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it's a very conscious decision for some of the people. Like they will just hide behind the computer, and usually those are like super degen. But in the whole crypto spectrum, I guess it also depends on like your functionality or your end goal, or like which kind of organization that you work with, and it will somehow steer your decisions on whether you should build your own IP.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, exactly that.
Yeah. Well, I guess like we have a very strong understanding of your own personal career development, and I think some of our audiences watching this podcast, they are also hiring managers. That like throughout your 18 years of experience, you led the team, and you have hiring experience as a hiring manager as well. A lot of people say like youngsters nowadays they like to 躺平, like to be very chill
Yeah.
and not very proactive in the career. Do you think that's an accurate phenomenon in Hong Kong?
Yeah, well, I would say I wouldn't use those terms. I would say we feel differently. That's one thing I gonna say it as a joke that I just share as a story. So someone at the 50 or 60 gave a career talk with a big audience with undergrads just like a year ago. I was there. I was just like part of the sharing group, the guesses, and then basically this guy keeps saying things about like you have to be working harder, you have to just like do more things, and then he said something very particular. He said, then you all millennials will excel in the future. Then I was like looking at the student next to me, is like, there's no millennials here. They like all like Gen Z, right? So I guess like this association with like a lot of senior management these days go all the way to like they don't even understand the audience. So I think that's a big problem. So back to the points where like, do people want to have more work-life balance? Do they prefer more working from home? Do they actually want more annual leaves than like better pay? Yes, or maybe like this is like the young generation what they want. Hear them out, and then by the end of the day, it's always result oriented. I don't care if my staff is actually in the office or somewhere in Phuket. As long as they deliver, that's great. The second thing is it's down to how you shape your team. These people is gonna be integral parts of your teams. You have to embrace all the characteristics, and then yeah, you can hire a team that's all wanting to come back to the office every day on time. But do they actually have all the characteristics that help to shape your business? Where in crypto you need people to be out there, connect with the younger generation, etc. Right? So you probably want all different kind of personalities in your team.
Well, I'm so glad in Hong Kong there is an industry leader like yourself to be so transparent and to be so understanding of the younger generations, and hopefully the other like some other people will get inspired for what you've just shared, and really trying to give some space to understand the young people. Well, but at the same time, I bet it has its pros and cons, right? Like sometimes when you give more autonomy or more freedom, have you ever experienced any unexpected situations? Or
Well, yes. So 100%, right? So it's you would like with a long enough timeline, you will run into people that will abuse the kindness or the flexibility, which down to like two things. One is like when you interview people, have you noticed like this kind of like threats? So it's in very generalized terms. It's like, do you hire people that fit into your culture, right? If your culture is like, well, I give you the flexibility and freedom, but you have to deliver, do they fit into that kind of culture? Or is the kind of person that you hiring is actually, well, they can deliver only if you like micromanaging them? That may not be your kind of people, right? The second thing is it's come down to part of the course. Unfortunately, it's intangible cost, but like, well, yeah, you can have everyone sitting here, um, working 9 to 6 or 9 to 7, um, on site, but then the cause is like they were being less productive on the desk, they're being less creative, or like you hire again to hire the wrong people to do the job. Now the other side of the thing is, well, you can hire all these creative people, but you have to account for the cost that, well, they can be anywhere. They just like maybe they're commuting to some other remote place to work, but that's the cost, right? So and some of them may slack off. Yeah, that's also part of the cost of remote working. So accounting for everything for any modes of working or any different culture is part of the business, unfortunately.
well, I guess that's some of the thing like as a senior management, that's some of the thing that you will have to be aware of is somehow unavoidable. But would there be any, I would say, like red flag, or how do you usually qualify if someone that align with your own value, for example? How would you be your like some of the questions that you would ask or some of the criteria?
Yeah, a red flag is something that's really interesting terms because like this will come up with like when you go online and go to Reddit and ask like what's the red flag when you go onto a date and meeting some like people, right? I think that's exactly the thing. You don't have a really concrete line where you draw the whether or not he or she is good or not. But I think I would say it's down to like how you interact with them, and then you will immediately, again, this is almost like a first date. You get the vibe, you get whether or not they understand the culture, the way that they talk with you, the way they communicate, the way they deliver the work, day to day. You probably would know, again, that's why there's a probation period. You probably would know in the first 3 months what kind of person they are like, and then you can actually make decisions by not even by like performance, which again, so performance, if the performance great, then you have a better tolerance about the culture thing, of course, part of the course. But if the performance is not appearing on the first few months, you can probably tell by the vibe or by the cultural fit whether or not they are part of the, they align with the value that you have.
Hmm. I guess that apart from being super logical, you also have to utilize your own intuitions and your past experience, having the gut feeling.
Well,
And
yes, a little bit,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. Well, I think it's something that you will be automatically be trained when you become a leader.
Well, I guess not exactly a leader, but like I guess that's part of the experience. I guess that's a good saying. Also, when you ask about the mistake, right? I think experience is what we call our mistakes, right? So I guess for long enough time in your career, you will naturally, inevitably, you meet some good people, bad people, kind people, not so kind people, and similarly, you will probably meet some people that you think they're good, but then they actually not, and you make mistake. You learn from all this experience, and you kind of like have that built into your, yeah, as you said, like instinct. So yeah, I guess can't be taught, but like you just learn along the way.
Another thing that I think would be challenging for the leader would be, especially in Hong Kong, because we are both based in Hong Kong, right? A lot of talent, especially in the tech industry, a lot of people like they have immigrated to other countries. Do you think there will be a challenge for the industry leader in looking for a new talent? Do any solution for that? How do you cope with that?
So two sides of this story, right? So as someone that I'm hiring in Hong Kong, I don't think that's going to be a challenge. Unfortunately, I mean, bad news for everyone's listening. It's not going to be a challenge, even with like people's leaving town. The Hong Kong government is actually pushing really hard with the visa program, the talents immigration. So like the huge pool of talents that coming from mainland that will replace wherever that's left. Um, I think that's as a fact. I would have to say it. It's sad news, but like as a fact, that's not going to affect me much. But on the other side, if I look as like a Hong Kong citizen, I'm from Hong Kong, right? I'm born and raised here. What niche that we still have that will be better than these talents coming from mainland? I think that's the ultimate question. If you stay in town, right? There's a lot of vacancy right now, but at the same time, the competition is coming from a different pool of talents. How do you stand out, right? Is it your understanding about the more westernized or international landscape? Is it because you're more ethic and know more about the regulation? I'm not saying people from mainland is not ethical, but I'm saying, do you have a niche like over them? I think that's important. And then that niche may or may not become, smaller and smaller. So we just have to find new niche, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I love the way you put it, and I really think like you have like very optimistic approach on seeing things. I guess like being a next leader, you have to try to turn every challenges into an opportunity. I know like the mainstream of the media would sometimes they would provoke a lot of people anxiety, saying, "Oh, there's a lot of competitions, blah blah blah." One little thing that I'm curious, because like you mentioned that you're already a father. How do you manage your own work-life balance? I saw that you need to travel a lot. You need to go oversee conferences. How do you balance your personal and family time as a CEO?
Yes, it's almost like the wrong term that it's a corporate speak that it's a work-life balance. I don't think it's a balance. I do think that family always come first, regardless of like what kind of work that you have to do. I guess you compromise your work around your family. I think that's how it works. People always do the other way around. You compromise your family or your personal time to work it around the core of your work, which is unfortunately a lot of Hong Kong people has been doing. I would say when people retire, the majority, I would say 68%, but I just make up the percentage. But like majority of people, that the main regret is like they're working too hard. They're working too hard. Either they sacrifice their health or the family time, or like other personal non-work stuff. So, and in crypto is especially important because like you can never work too hard. It's 24/7. throughout the year, you can literally work every second and you still have more work to do. So working around that is important. Like if my daughter actually asleep at a time, I can still work for another hour or two after they slept. But then before that, I would just like use it as a family time and just ignore work, keep having fun with them. Yeah, family first. I think that's very important.
Career is important, but people usually regret before they die. I also read similar researchers saying before people die, the biggest regret is whether they haven't been able to speak up their own truth, they never express their talent, or they left too late. And I love how down to earth that you delivered this message. Well, before wrapping up our conversation, I'm aware that like for Gate Hong Kong, you guys have just withdrawn for the VASP license. Can you share with us or give us a little bit of a sneak peek on the new directions?
Yeah, so we did withdraw from the VASP license with the SFC voluntarily. I think that's part of our reprioritizations of our business strategy. At the moment, we are working on having our OTC business to become up and running. For OTC licensing regime, I think that will come out later this year or like next year with the customs department. We are having an ongoing dialogue with the department as well. I think the bottom line is Gates Hong Kong are here to stay. A lot of like media will say, well, like Gate exiting Hong Kong. We're not exiting Hong Kong. We still think Hong Kong is a very important hub, not only in Asia but also globally as well. And whether or not we are going to have a VASP license running an exchange, whether or not running an OTC business, that may change again in the coming years. But I think the one thing that will not change is we're here in a very compliant way, but we're here to support the community and support the growth of the whole Web3 ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of people in Hong Kong, we are super excited to hear more updates from Gate Hong Kong. Thank you so much again, Kevin.
I hope you enjoyed the video, as we will be interviewing with interesting leaders across the Web3 space on a weekly basis. Be sure to stay tuned to us. If you find our content interesting, be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the like button, hit the bell notification, and see you in the next one.